I remember riding in the car with my Uncle Johnny the first time he introduced me to Jimi Hendrix. Johnny is only 6 years older than me and is more like a brother than an uncle because of the minimal age difference. We both grew up together in Texas. He spent a lot of time working on his car and had just installed an upgraded stereo system that he wanted me to listen to. He was always doing crazy things and told my mom on Thanksgiving Day that day that we were going for a pack of cigarettes for him and would be right back. Kids will be kids, and 6 hours later, we showed back up at home and were in a hell of a lot of trouble for missing Thanksgiving dinner. My mom and grandmother really yelled at us, and understandably so. This is the time before cell phones. My thoughts, though, were elsewhere. I was completely enthralled with Electric Ladyland and all things Jimi Hendrix. Johnny had slapped a tape in the Pioneer deck of Electric Ladyland, and we listened to it 2 or 3 times. And it was really the first time I had ever really experienced Jimi Hendrix and really understood. I had listened to Purple Haze before, but this was completely different. The things I love about Jimi was that he was really capable of projecting his emotions and feelings through his playing. It was new, raw, and is an incredible thing to experience, especially the first time. His playing was like an extension of his voice. Speaking of his voice, he did not think he had a good voice, and he really did not like to sing. He was very shy about it, a lot like Stevie Ray Vaughan as well. His voice was just as unique as his playing. It was beautiful in its own way. He gave me inspiration that you did not need to be polished or perfect to make music. You just needed to be yourself. That there is beauty in being a little rough and unique, different than the guy standing next to you. I saw recently on stratosphere.com a Jimi Hendrix Stratocaster body in Olympic white. It had been parted out from a Fender Hendrix model of Stratocaster. I ordered the body, and I also had some relic parts, including a neck, that emulated the late 60s models of Stratocasters with the big headstock. To wrap things up, I had a used set of Fender Jimi Hendrix pickups that I could put inside, and I researched and actually built out the wiring harness circuit that was period correct for this time. I knew a few things though. The guitar would not be an exact replica. That was not really my intent. I wanted something that would look reasonably accurate and sound accurate. It was just for me. I decided to make my guitar look like a model of Stratocaster that Jimi was using during 1967. It was also the same color white, had a very similar pickguard, and the neck looked pretty much exactly like mine, except for the logo on the headstock is a little bit different. I'll cover that in a minute. From a distance, my guitar looks really close. I went through 2 different pickguards when I was putting the project together. I started with mint green and ended up with something of an off-white that looked closer to his guitar. It's kind of hard to sometimes replicate guitars that you only see in black and white photos. Externally, the one thing that is different, like I said before, is my headstock uses a logo where the Stratocaster word is actually different. My logo came out about a year after Jimi's, but this is something I can live with. Again, I'm not trying to create an exact replica, but just something that reminds me of Hendrix and is more of a slight nod to who he was and how he has affected my love of music and ultimately my love of guitars. For that, I want to thank you to my Uncle Johnny and to Jimi, 2 very influential men in my youth. If you like this video, click like, subscribe, and notify.